Imagine living in a world where one button could wipe out an entire planet. Sounds dramatic, right? Well, that was real life in 1962.
Goes up at the United Nations on what the world hopes is the final act in the drama that was the Cuban crisis. The Soviet Union is represented by Khrushchev's special envoy, Russia's first deputy foreign minister, Vasily Kuznetsov. He is here to confer with U Thant before the acting secretary general left for Cuba to arrange the dismantling of Soviet missile bases. U Thant met separately with both Russian and United States representatives.
The Cuban Missile Crisis was the closest humanity ever came to the nuclear war. In 1961, the US tried and failed to overthrow Cuba's new communist government.
From his stronghold in the wild Sierra Maestra Mountains, Cuba's Fidel Castro emerged.
It was called the Buy Up Pigs, and it pushed Cuba straight into the arms of Soviet Union.
Russians turned out in thousands to show the world, and America in particular, that Nicky loves Fidel. President Castro had the red carpet treatment all the way to the Red Square.
So, the Soviets made a secret move. They placed nuclear missiles in Cuba to protect the island and to counter US missiles in Italy and Turkey. By the time America found out, the missile parts were already there.
Unmistakable evidence has established the fact that a series of offensive missile sites is now in preparation on that imprisoned island. The purpose of these bases can be none other than to provide a nuclear strike capability against the Western Hemisphere.
On October 16, 1962, US military advisor wanted to bomb the sites and invade, but President John F. Kennedy chose a different path. He announced a naval blockade.
I have directed that the following initial steps be taken immediately. First, to halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated.
A move so risky, it almost caused war by itself. The Soviets were furious. They called it an act of aggression, pushing mankind towards the abyss of nuclear war. And then things got worse. A US spy plane was shot down. A Soviet submarine hit by US death charges. Thought war had already started and prepared to fire a nuclear torpedo. 2 Soviet officers said launch. One man said no. His name was Vasily Arkhipov, and likely he saved the world. Meanwhile, the US military reached DEFCON 2, one step from nuclear war. But behind the curtains, diplomacy was happening. Robert Kennedy met secretly with Soviet ambassador. Their deal: remove Soviet missiles from Cuba, remove US missiles from Turkey, and America would never invade Cuba again. The next morning, the Soviets agreed. Crisis over. The Cuban Missile Crisis proved one thing: humanity survived not because of power, but because a few people chose restraint.